that was my life. The diagnosis changed my life. With a short period of time, I could no longer do what I loved. So I could no longer be a registered nurse, and I had to give up my career. Finding out and thinking about why did this happen to me, there's no answers to that. They still have no answers to that. But that's what made me on a mission to find ways to help others that are afflicted with this disease. And the only way you learn is by talking to people. One of the most important things to realize about macular degeneration from a patient standpoint is everybody is different. So every case is different, every treatment's different, every way that it's handled is different. There was a period of time in my life where I'd wake up in the morning and I'd say, what do I have to learn how to do today? So every day you look for a new way to accomplish tasks. And these are tasks of daily living. It's what makes life work. I was lucky with the help of my husband to find an organization, because when I was diagnosed over 10 years ago, there was not a lot to talk about AMD at all. It was the deep, dark secret. We finally did have treatment for wet AMD. Do you know what it's like to have a doctor turn around and say, well, I'm going to give you an injection in your eye? We say, put a needle in my eye? Well, that's exactly what they do. So I got lucky and I had treatment, but the dry AMD, they didn't talk about it. So patients, people, we had to get together and we had to learn. The support group that I got involved with was called Bright Focus, and that's what we did. I spoke with people all over the world, and by talking and hearing people's experiences, we learned from each other. By learning from each other, I took a lot of the information back to my doctors, and I would say to them, why didn't you tell me this? I was told I had geographic atrophy from the National Eye Institute when I was evaluated. And the doctor said to me, what did you want me to do? Say to you, yeah, you have something called geographic atrophy, which I understood the words because I'm a nurse, but I don't have anything to do for you, so why am I even going to bother telling you? They need to have the information. So patient education in all aspects of macular degeneration is critical. You can ask all the questions you want. You do have to understand sometimes the answer is going to be, I don't know. And that's okay, because that's still an answer. Open communication and different lines of communication and getting out there to the public to let them know we are there to help. We are there to give you the information, and we're there to establish whatever additional help that we can get. All of this help reverts back to all the research that has gone on. Research is critical. When you lose your vision, you lose a big part of your life. You lose your function, you lose your independence, and it just goes on from there. I lost my career, which was devastating and would be, I think, to a lot of people that love what they do in life. The other big issue was I was lucky. I have a husband. I kept fighting and looking for anyone and anybody to talk to about this. I was able to go to a low vision doctor who was able to really help and give me ideas and show me different pieces of devices. They're not cheap, but in my life, I was able to manage it with the help of my husband, but not everybody can. If you can do one little thing through a low vision doctor who gets no support at all, from what I understand, when I go, I pay her. I do have Medicare. I'm over the age of 65 at this point. I was 57 when I was diagnosed. But I have the opportunity to see her. So I have 1,000,001 devices. Everybody laughs at me because I have 6, 8, 10 pair of glasses, various days. My vision can change from day to day. So depending on what's going on and what I'm doing in my life that day depends on what glasses I take with me or have. It can be all different kinds of sunglasses, all different kinds of prescription glasses. But this is how I learned to function on a daily basis. Never walk out the door without a flashlight or a magnifying glass. That's just a part of my daily attire. This is why all these things are so very important to keep in mind when you're thinking about the safety aspect for your patients, and to make sure that they have every opportunity to get what's best to keep them motivated and functioning. And that's one of my favorite words, is functioning. And you're gonna see I have to change my glasses to make sure that I can tell you everything that I wanna tell you. And there you go, that's a part of my life. Our education is, of course, very, very important. It is, in any facet, it's a medical, in any area, medical personnel always say, early diagnosis with early intervention leads to a better prognosis. And that is a true fact where eyes are concerned as well. And unfortunately, people don't get their eyes examined, whether it's because they don't have eye insurance, they just don't think they need to have their eyes examined, they're not having any trouble seeing things. Today, there's 1,000,001 answers. People need to get their eyes examined. It's a critical part of life. Just like you go to your medical doctor for a regular physical, your eyes need to be checked out. Maybe 25 years ago, had we seen a problem, maybe I wouldn't have ended up the way I did. My diagnosis came in 100 days. I had a retina exam because I was having some difficulties, and I did go to an eye doctor, had a full retina exam. Oh, everything's fine, everything's stable. Went on a cruise ship, couldn't tolerate the lights on the cruise ship, didn't know what was going on. Came home the next day, I couldn't see a traffic light that I knew was there. 100 days and I was diagnosed with wet macular degeneration and started injections. Unfortunately, the macular degeneration in those same amount of time took the entire central vision of my left eye. So it just goes to show how fast this progression can happen. It's not always going to be slow. It can be just as fast. But if you know that it's happening, if you know you have some difficulties, again, early diagnosis leads to better prognosis. Nowadays, there are, because of all the research that's going on, now there is even a treatment for dry macular degeneration, which I have both, but in my belief, I think the dry takes vision in a more significant way than wet. Wet, we've been getting injections, so that kind of helps if it dries it up. The research that led to the dry injections are saving people's visions. It's keeping you functioning. It's keeping you in society. It's giving you the confidence that you need. And this is what has to be maintained. We have to continue to find and work towards the cure. Just like we've cured so many other things, working towards the cure towards ocular disease is critical to living a prosperous, healthy, functioning life. I will say, one of the very first interviews that I did, at the end of the interview, a woman said to me, this is probably 9.5 years ago, in the future, what would be your dream? And I said, well, remembering I'm medical, your eyes are made up of rods and cones and epithelial tissue. If there was a way to take rods and cones from a healthy eye, regenerate them in a petri dish, and grow the epithelial tissue and the rods and cones, and create a way to implant them into an eye and have them grow, it would give people back some of their vision. And that would be my dream, because if I could get an extra line or two on the eye charts that everybody's so familiar with, that would make a person very happy. We're there. It's being investigated. It's being tested. So we're so close. It's taken years, but this is what research has done, and this is why it all has to be maintained. Keeping people functioning, keeping people in the best way, mentally and physically, the way of life that they could be, is very important. And that's why we have to support this and maintain all that we're in the process of doing, with the continuation of the support for the future of the well-being of everyone with ocular disease.